So let's talk about strings. The very first thing, we do whenever we want to deal with algorithms in JavaScript is to open a new snippet in DevTools. I hope you all know how to do that. You've been dealing with that. But if that's not the case, let me quickly go through that process again. So if you open a new tab in Google Chrome anywhere and you do right click and you click inspect, it will open something like that. It will open DevTools. Could be at the right hand side, could be at the bottom, doesn't really matter, right? I'm going to click on the three dots on top and I will select the first option and dock into separate window. Why? Because I want to maximize my DevTools. I want to have a lot of space. And then the next thing, let me zoom it a bit. The next thing is you will see a series of tabs on top. Now it's very hard to see. Let me change the resolution a bit. Look, so you see on top several tabs. So the one we use is sources. Doesn't necessarily have to be the second one because you can rearrange them. So if you click on sources, the next thing is we need to select snippets. So by default, you will probably have something like page on the left-hand side. So you need to click on the right arrow and then select snippets. So snippet is essentially JavaScript code, yeah, that you can run, you can test, you can debug, you can analyze, you can play with. So let's create a new snippet. Please remember to provide a meaningful name, otherwise it's going to be very hard to maintain once you have hundreds of snippets. So I'll call the snippet first board challenge, for instance. And now it's time to start writing some JavaScript code. So the very first thing we need to do when we want to write JavaScript code, and this is a bit exotic, I'm not even going to explain why we need to do that. That's a complex thing that will be tackled probably in the last week of the bootcamp towards the end of September. We need to surround your snippet with curly brackets. One curly bracket on the very first line and the closing equivalent at the very end of your snippet, only once. Why? Again, I'm not going to explain that now, but if you do that, you may prevent your code from having memory issues, if you accept the expression, sort of, right? And once we got that, let's start doing some JavaScript. So first of all, a smoke test. I want to see if my DevTools environment is up and running, which is not always the case. Unfortunately, DevTools became worse and worse over time. It fails a lot. Yeah, it fails a lot. And that's why I'm doing this, because it may fail to you in a job interview. So if it fails, we'll see different techniques to get rid and to deal with the problem. So look, I'm going to type a function foo. I don't even care about what we do. And then I'm going to invoke foo and then return hello, right? Something like that. Why? Because I want to see if DevTools is working, right? You see the run snippet button on the right-hand side. If you're a Windows user, you can run that snippet by pressing Control-Enter. If you are a Mac user, you can run the snippet by pressing Command-Enter. Or you can simply click on the button, right? And now, look, I was expecting some text to be displayed at the bottom, but that's not the case. Yeah, so that's controversial on the very first test. It's not working as I would expect. Yeah, that's not a good starting point, but let's deal with that. If that's the case, the next thing I do is, all right, let's try to do a console.log. So using console.log, we can print stuff on the console, right? So let's run it again with console.log. All right, at least with console.log, I can display messages. That's enough, right? All right, so that will be my strategy. I will create a function and I will display the output of the function using console.log. Does it make sense? Cool, fantastic. So the very first function I'd like to write today is a welcome, and the function does something like that. Welcome user. And then here we pass Donald. So now, what will this function return, guys? Say again. Welcome, Donald. All right, wait. Let's go one after the other. Catherine said, welcome, Donald.
No, because you need to pass the argument.
Right, too late. So one of the things we'll be training is you have only one opportunity. Why? Because we want to force you to think twice. This is not about being the fastest, it's about giving the right answer. So who else? So, wait a minute. Katerina said what nothing means.
Because you didn't call your function.
And you said that will return
Maybe undefined, I don't know.
undefined. Right? Who else? So, Kelly said Donald. What do you think, guys? Do you agree with any of this? Feel like this?
No.
I think undefined.
No. Undefined. Was it you, Edward?
Yes.
Okay, undefined.
I agree with Katerina.
Right, well, one after the other. You see, I love this exercise because everyone wants to participate, even though some people get a bit aggressive sometimes. So Bilal agreed with Katerina, right? Okay. So Ahmed and it was Jack? Was it Jack?
Yeah.
So Ahmed and Jack agreed with Kelly. And Kim? Correct. Right. So, okay, let's do something. We've got many different opinions, right? In the future, we will be giving some points. You know that with the board challenges, you get points. Did Ray explain that? Was it a secret? Okay, depending on your performance on the board challenge, every week you'll get points. So then we have the board challenge, the proper board challenge rank. With these questions, we'll have pretty much the same thing, right? So, for instance, now Kieran said Donald, Jack, Ahmed, Kelly. So people may get points, not for today, right? Let's make it a bit more friendly. So one of these blocks is right, and I like that because, to be honest, I was expecting everybody to get the same answer, but that's not the case. But that means that we learned something here. So,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Putting console log would be the same as calling the function. That's what I'm used to. Instead of using console log,
Yeah.
just
Call the function,
call the function.
which is what they tried.
And
It didn't work. It should work. So technically speaking, it's the same, but sometimes their tools fail miserably. That was a good example. So because of a reason, console.log is better for Google Chrome. Yeah, but technically speaking, it's the same. Doing console.log or just invoking the function.
so in this case, it would be the same idea.
Yeah, it's the same idea. Yeah. Guys, look. We look at line number 6. That's the key. That's the key, right? We are displaying console.log Donald. In other words, are we interacting at all with the welcome function? No. So, welcome Donald, that's not possible, right? That won't ever be the solution. Katerina and Bilal, they said undefined. But I can clearly see that we are trying to print a message, Donald, right? So I believe Kelly, Ahmed, Jack, and Kieran, they are right. And let's have a look. That's it. You see, Donald. Yeah, so that's the most fundamental way of displaying the stuff with DevTools. And now, let's interact with our function. Welcome, Donald. What will that return? So now Kelly, go first, and she says again.
Something to do with the function not being defined.
Function,
Welcome not defined.
welcome not defined. All right.
Yes, I agree with you.
So Bilal agrees again with Kelly,
No, I agree.
or agrees by the first time with Kelly. Right. Who else? Right. Okay.
But welcome is not a string in this case. So it's not going to print it, I think.
It's not going to print it. So then what was the output of executing this snippet? Sonia? Undefined.
And I think undefined as well.
Okay.
I think it would say user is not defined.
Ahmed said user is not defined.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, you cannot agree with Ahmed because you already agree with Kelly and Katerina.
That's exactly what you said actually, but not in the right term.
Yeah, I didn't do like literally welcome.
Ah,
I just meant some general message saying that.
Yeah.
okay, so what's the general message? What's the exact message? All right, cool. So look at what happened here, guys. Ahmed, and technically speaking, same as Kelly and company, they are right. Reference error, user is not defined. Yeah? In classic JavaScript, in 90s JavaScript, that was valid because user will be a global variable, blah, blah, blah. But in modern JavaScript, now we are more strict with the scope of the variable. Are we declaring user anywhere? Not at all, right? JavaScript don't like global variables, so they say, no, wrong, error. How do we fix that problem, guys?
You need to pass arguments.
Correct, here. What do we need to type here? User, correct. So now, what will our function return?
Undefined.
Seb said undefined. Why undefined, Seb?
Because you don't have the return.
Does anyone disagree with Seb? He's right.
Yes.
You disagree?
No, I agree.
Ah, you agree. Oh, okay, yeah, let's ignore the semicolon for the time being. We're iterating, right, step by step. So that algorithm, according to Seb, will return undefined. Let's see if he's right or not. He's right, undefined. Why? Because we don't have any return statement. When you don't have any return statement, your function returns nothing. But nothing, technically speaking, is undefined. Yeah, does it make sense? And what if now we return that text? What will our function return?
Welcome down.
So Catherine said, welcome, Donald.
I agree with that.
Everyone agree? No. Ooh. Wait. Step by step, guys. I'm interested to see what Kibon thinks. What will that function return, Kibon? Kiran. Sorry, I got super confused with the name. Sorry. Both Kibon and Kiran. Yeah? Welcome, Donald. No space. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, you did,
But
yeah.
that's not a big issue, is it? That's not.
Well, it's not a big issue. It depends, right? It depends. Yeah, it is a big issue. From a readability point of view, it's a big issue. And look, welcome, Donald. He's right. You see?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You will see, I will struggle with some names. Kibon and Kiran, I will confuse you a lot. Same as Sebastian and Esteban. I'll mix you easily, right? So give me a couple of weeks. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Yes. So yeah, that's correct. And now the thing is, how do we fix it? How do we change welcome Donald to welcome space Donald?
Different space in the string, I mean, welcome.
In the screen, where? Here?
Let me see.
At the end? Here?
No.
No.
After E, the letter E, welcome. Yeah.
Here?
No, the second.
Here?
Yes, you can leave a space there.
A space there. All right.
And also, you can use the.
Wait. You're going too fast, right? You're going too fast. Right.
That's the for the.
Yeah. We'll check that in a minute. So Do we all agree that now, at least from a human point of view, that message will be quite friendly? Welcome, space, Donald. Yeah. All right. Let's have a look. Yes, that's correct. Welcome, Donald. But now, Catherine said, no. There's a better way to do that.
No, it's not a better way.
It's not. There is no better way.
There is.
No,
There is a better way.
There is another way.
Another way.
Is you know, adding another plus and the commas. This, look at me.
All right. Yeah. The double quotes.
The double quotes.
All right. So these are single quotes.
No, but without the space, without the.
All right. Let's leave that there. And now, guys, I want you to tell me at least 2 different ways to solve the same problem. We got single quotes.
I have one.
Okay, go for it. Return what?
How do you call the back?
I don't know. You should know that. Backticks.
Backticks.
And then what?
Then you put welcome,
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
dollar, curly bracket,
Yeah.
user,
User.
you close the curly bracket.
Yeah. You see the difference, guys? You see the difference? So this is the classic way, and this is the modern way with backticks, which is correct. If we run it again,
There is another way. To
yeah, I'll go there in a second. Right. Welcome, Donald. And now, give me a third way to solve the problem.
You can plus
Empty
empty space.
space,
Empty
empty
string.
string, and then what?
Space.
Space, and then what?
Welcome plus empty space plus user.
Welcome plus empty space plus user, like that?
Welcome
Double quotes.
Double quotes, like that. Well, we did with single quote, right? It worked already.
and now you need to close it. No. After.
After what? Like that?
And plus no.
No. So that's wrong, right? It's right or wrong? That line number 3 is equivalent to line number 5. It's the same thing. What's the only difference, guys? Quotes, correct. Single quotes versus double quotes. Both styles are valid in JavaScript. It's up to you to pick your favorite. I can tell you what my favorite is, and I can argue why. I prefer single because they are easier to read. From this distance, I don't really know if I have 1 double quotes or 2 single quotes together. I find single quotes easier, but it's just my personal appetite. All right, and then we got, by popular demand, we got something like that. Welcome plus space plus user.
But instead of welcome,
Return. Yeah, return welcome plus. Yeah, does it make sense? Will this work, guys? Right, I'll give you a 5th approach. Return welcome plus space plus empty space with single quotes plus backticks plus double quotes. Yeah, that's the same. But the thing is, to me, this is just making everything a bit more complicated. Yeah, what's the point of combining 2 literals like that? I don't see any benefit. I prefer to join them like that. Yeah, it's a bit simpler. To me, the best one is this one, clearly. Because even though in that particular silly example, there isn't a big advantage, right? As soon as our sentence becomes more complex, welcome Peter, comma, you are 41 years old, comma, how are you today, Monday, comma. As soon as the sentence becomes more complex, it facilitates a lot. Otherwise, it's very easy to mess around with pluses and to fail and to forget to add spaces and all these things, right? That's why we got backticks starting from 2015, 4 years ago. All right, any questions about beginner? No? All right, so now let's do a bit of intermediate. I like to keep the welcome function, but I like to rename Donald with what grade type was Rafa the turtle, something like that. Leo the turtle, right? Leo the turtle, right? I hope everyone gets the context. Who is that guy, right? Yeah. No. If you are below 20, if you are lucky enough to be below 25 years old, probably you've never seen that. But there was a very popular TV show, right? Ninja Turtles. And if you're a bit older, you may remember one of the best video games ever. This is from 1993, and that was shocking. That was one of the reasons why I started getting interested in coding, because at that time, these guys, they did that. Let me show you. You've seen that? This 3D effect? That was pretty awesome. Let me play it in slow motion.
I used to play that.
That was the future in 1993, right? You can see. I think it was 1993, yeah.
Unfortunately for me, I was only interested in pizza, but thanks to the tutorials. Yeah, because they were extremely pizza.
All right, so Leo, right? Leo the turtle. And then the algorithm does something like that. Instead of, that's not user, right? That's like message, you want? Return message dot split dot reverse dot join, something like that. So can anyone tell me what will that code return? Turtle comma no
Yeah, yes, it's comma.
comma
Yeah,
da
comma.
comma Leo. Right, that's an option. Any other approach? Any other idea? That's controversial. That's controversial. Let's see what it returns and we'll analyze it. So he's right. So Ahmed, was it Ahmed?
Yes.
Okay, so Ahmed is right. But why is that happening? Look, let's analyze the algorithm line by line. The very first thing I would like to remark, and probably you didn't notice, is that I put each command in one line. Split, then reverse, and then join. That's to me fundamental. That's very important. The alternative would be to do something like that. To me, this is way harder to read. Remember, arrays are the most powerful data structure in JavaScript. You can do many amazing things with them. Eventually, you will see, you will feel the pain once you start dealing with expert training that you need to do these things often. Yeah? And the code will be hard to read. However, if you do that, I hope you agree, it will help to analyze the journey of your algorithm step by step, right? So first of all, let's focus on the first one. Message.split. At the moment, what will that return?
An array.
An array. An array of what?
A string.
Of a string. What?
It was split the string space to create an array.
Okay.
Leo will be the first 0 index, that will be the first 1 index, so that will be the first
Okay, so what?
2.
So it will be like that? No.
Leo, comma,
Leo, comma,
that.
oh, like that? No. Katerina? Yeah?
One string.
Yeah? Like that?
Yes.
What do you think, guys? Do you agree or not?
That's right there, that's not
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct, Katerina. So message.split means A, take that string, because split works only with strings, and then convert it into an array. But how do we deal with that? Here we declare how are we going to separate the array elements. In other words, whenever we find a space in our string, then create a new element on that array. Space here, space there. So we eventually have an array of 3 elements without spaces, as you can see. Yeah? So the space is like the knife. It will chop. Yeah? Correct. So that's what we got so far. And then next line.
What would happen if you leave that empty between the parentheses?
Like that?
And without the...
Without anything, like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's, as I mentioned before, that's a bit controversial. Because here, you are not passing any delimiter. You are not defining how do you want to separate the string. Correct, because JavaScript doesn't really know what you are trying to do. They say, hey, I have no idea what you're trying to do. The only thing I know is you're trying to create an array. That's why you use a split. And then, all right, I will create an array and with one element, because I don't know how do you want to divide it. What happens if, however, we do that? Letter by letter. So it should be something like L, comma, E, comma, O. What about the space? Will we have an element with an empty, with a space like that?
Yes.
Yes, correct. So when you split with an empty string, it will create an array of individual characters, including spaces, accents, or any weird one, right? So if we run that code, you can see we got an array of 13 elements that could be interesting in some particular scenarios. So let's go back to the original example. We got split and then space. That thingy return Leo, comma, the, comma, turtle, right? So now, what happens if we reverse that? What will it return? Flip, turtle, comma, the, comma, Leo. Do you agree on that? That's correct. That's correct. So reverse will flip the array. Yeah? Whatever was on the first position, it will be on the last position. Whatever was second is second from the right. So you flip the array. Yeah?
And can you modify anything, putting something between the parentheses in that case?
No. Reverse works straight. Change the order and that's it. And lastly, join. Yeah, so join is the opposite to split. Split takes a string and transforms it into an array. Join takes an array and transforms it into a string. Yeah, it works on the other way around.
However, though here,
Yeah.
at the join, if we were passing something like split, it would be much more better.
Yes, I completely agree with Ahmed. Look, that is a bit weird because that's the same case. Because we are not passing any argument, JavaScript doesn't really know how the hell do we want to build our new string. So if I want, I'll show you what I want to do and then you show me how to do it. I want to display turtle, da, Leo. What do we need to do?
You need to put
To have a space between...
Yes, you're right. Like that?
No, with a space.
What will happen if we run it like that? What will it return? Letter by letter? Yeah, but...
The whole string without spaces.
Say again?
The whole string without spaces.
Correct. Kelly is right. That will return the whole string without the spaces, turtle da Leo. Yeah? We are joining everything. What's the glue between the array elements? Just nothing. Yeah? So how do we make that a bit more readable with the spaces? As some of you said, we need to put a space here. So we're essentially reverting the operation we did earlier on. Does it make sense? Yeah, and then it works. Is there any questions? No? I got a very last question for you. You will see in the following sessions, I'll deal a lot with debugging. Debugging is the process of analyzing the state of your code before it finishes the execution. In other words, if something doesn't work as expected, you can add breakpoints. Breakpoint is a way to take a snapshot of your variables and see what's going on. Let me show you an example. Imagine that we have a variable, first name, Peter. Excuse me. Then we got let last name, Williams. And then let message equals first name plus last name, and then we return message plus exclamation mark. Imagine this is our code, right? Let message first name and last name. Oh, because that's the argument. Sorry, that's wrong. Yeah, like that. Okay, so that's what we got. Eventually, we want to display something like that. Peter Williams exclamation mark. Yeah? This is our goal. However, if we run that code, almost there. There is something not right. In that particular case, we got 4 lines of code. I'm sure if we spend a couple of minutes, we can spot where the issue is. I know that at least half of you spot the issue already. However, in a more complex scenario, it may be challenging to spot the issue by just looking at the code, right? So then we can add breakpoints. How do we add a breakpoint and what that implies? Look, I can click on a given line, for instance, line number 9, and then on line number 3, and 4, and 5. Yeah, that's not the optimal way to do it. But anyway, for now, that's okay. And now what that means? That means if I run the code again, can, first of all, anyone predict the execution order? Which line go first, what's next, and so on? So Ahmed said 3, and then what? 4, and then what?
5.
And then what?
6 or 9.
9 and 6.
9 and, okay, wait. So let's finish Ahmed. 5, and then what else? 6, and then what? 9. Okay, who disagrees on that? Okay, so Seb.
3, 4, 5, 9 and 6.
9 and 6. All right. Who else? Esteban.
9,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Who else? Right. Kieran or Kibon? Kieran.
I was thinking 2,
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And then 9. Who else?
Edward.
Edward. Go for it.
9,
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
5, and 6.
So essentially you agree with Esteban.
Yeah.
All right.
can I put 9 in front of 2, please?
No, too late. Anyone else? Anyone?
Yeah.
That always happens. When 2 or 3 agree, everyone says, yeah, I agree with them, right?
I just remember function is just there as a memory, so it first tries to run it, whatever, and then calls the function. So I got it wrong, but that's fine.
Right. So Esteban, Edward, and company are right. Yeah? Why they are right? There is something fundamental here. That function will never, ever be executed until we call it. Yeah? So even though line number 9 is at the bottom, so it looks like it will happen at the end. No. First of all, we invoke the function and then the function runs. Let's run it, and this is another controversial point. DevTools sometimes fail to deal with breakpoints. Let's see if they work or not now. Right, it doesn't work. You see? I'm expecting the code to stop on line number 9. Whenever that happens, because that may happen in a job interview, let's be a bit more aggressive. What do I do in that case? First of all, I copy my code, just in case, because I'm going to kill the tab. So let me copy the code. Let me close the tab, close DevTools, back to Chrome. I will open incognito, just to see if I have any problem with any of my extensions, right? And then I will open DevTools again. And then again, I start again, right? Sources. And then my code is still there. Thankfully, at least it got saved, not the breakpoints, but I can quickly add the breakpoints again. And then we can try again. You see, now it works. So whenever you think you are right, but Chrome is not reporting what you expect, do that. Kill the tab, open incognito, start again. Yeah? I think if I run the example 4 times, it will fail again. That's very disappointing. But it's what it is, right? Second? We could, yeah. You could use whatever you want, right? No problem at all. All right, so you can see that it stopped on line number 9 first, as expected. So now a message for Kiran. He said that it will stop on line number 2. But in reality, Kiran, we don't have any breakpoint on line number 2. So we'll never stop there. Yeah? So now there is a subtle but important thing. This execution is very delicate. Now we're in the middle of the execution, right? If I rerun it, if I click that button again, Chrome will go crazy. We'll change the background color. Yeah? We'll have some health difficulties. Instead of running the snippet again, what I want is to click on that button on the left. Resume script execution. So that will continue playing it. It's like a YouTube video. You stop it, you pause it, and then you play it again, right? So if I click here, right, stops on line number 3. And if I press again, it goes to line number 4. So you can see the sequential execution of your algorithm. And why is that relevant? Because now I can, for instance, hover variables. What's the value of first name here? Peter. All right, fair enough, right? And then if I keep going, what's the value of last name? Williams, fair enough. So what's the value of message? Peter Williams all together. Oh, so you can quickly see that the problem is clearly on line number what? 5, correct, yeah?
And can we use there the backticks and dollars?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, of course. So first of all, we need to identify where the problem is. The problem is here, right? So now it's up to us to decide how to solve it. So following Seb's suggestions, I would like to use backticks, right? So we can do that. Does it make sense? And then once we save the file, we run it again. Still working, thankfully. So 3, 4, 5, 6, much better. You see? Much better. So line number 5 is now perfect. We may struggle with line number 6. We'll see. Let's continue running the example. Oh no, it's over. Peter Williams, exclamation mark. That's perfect. Yeah? DevTools, breakpoints, debugging, very important aspect of coding. That's the way you see where the problems are. Yeah? We will also learn in the following weeks how to debug not only JavaScript code, but also React code. Some of you already started to create components. That's number 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we can debug that as well using DevTools. We'll learn that in the next weeks. Anything else, guys?
Can you do this as well inside Visual Studio? No.
That's a good point. Not out of the box. With Visual Studio, you cannot run snippets. There is a plugin. There's a plugin for VS Code that I think is called Run Code or Code Run or something like that gives you some ability to do debugging. Yeah. Also, again, if you have a real application, you can connect the application with VS Code. So there are ways to do that, but they require a bit of setup, a bit of thinking. It's not immediate like the tools. That's why, to me, even though it sometimes fails, at least as a first stage, I think it's the best way to do, right? The tools. Anything else? No? All right, that was it. Thank you guys.